This is the Lessons from Sports podcast, and I'm your host, Wayne Partello. Working in sports for a long time, the first question everybody always asks is, oh my God, do you get to work with the players? And, being on the marketing content side of things, the answer has always been yes. But I always share, just like any other business, there's great people, there's good, average people, and then there's people you don't want to spend a lot of time with. The guy who I talked to today is in that first group. He's one of the great people. When I first arrived to spring training 2014 with the San Diego Padres, just transitioning from an NFL team, I didn't know the ins and outs of a baseball front office. And so there's a group of players that decided to invest in me. I spent all 6 weeks in spring training with them. And Yonder Alonso was one of those guys. Having just come from Miami, we had a little bit of a connection. He was a big Dolphins fan, and we were able to talk about that. And those guys invested in me. They showed me the ins and outs of being in a big league camp, but also exposed some of the deficiencies that our franchise was going through and the challenges and the opportunities to become a best-in-class organization. And I was there to be an observer on behalf of the ownership group. So amazing experience, amazing opportunity, but we built a friendship. And immediately after he retired from playing, we spoke, and he had a goal and a dream of being on MLB Network. And today that dream is a reality. So I'm so excited for you to just hear an honest dialogue from a guy who played a long time in the big leagues, who's had an incredible career, and now what he's been able to parlay it into the next dream that he had. So enjoy this conversation between me and Yonder Alonso. All right, it's my guy, Yonder Alonso. Dude, thank you so much for being here. One of the first players I met when I transitioned from the NFL to Major League Baseball, and obviously had a little bit of the Miami. You're like born and bred Miami.
Yeah.
I was a Boston transplant, but like you adopted me early. So thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely, man. It was, we've been dying. Like, we always talk about it. Like, hey, we got to come on. I mean, we've been talking about this coming on since the All-Star break last year.
Yes.
Like, that's how long it's been. So, yeah, man, I'm super excited. Thank you for the invite, and let's talk, man. No, what is it? What's your cuento?
What's your cuento?
I love it, dude. I love it.
I
What's your
have to tell a real
story?
quick story, though. We're at the All-Star game. You're like, yo, we bump into each other. And I'm like, we got to get a picture for the gram, obviously. And you're like, yeah. I'm like, go to do the selfie. You're like, no, Albert can take the picture. And you hand the phone. It's Albert Pujols. I'm like, dude, did you just make Albert Pujols our photographer? What just happened here? I told that story. I'm like, I just hand the phone to Albert Pujols. I'm like, did that just happen? This is crazy.
Honestly, like, it's cool, man, because I met Albert my rookie year with Cincinnati. And he had my agent, the same agent I used. And so I've known Albert since I was 20 years old. And, like we chatted up me and Albert probably talk like twice a week.
Wow. Through your playing career.
Yeah. And even now, like even more because he's at the network. So I kind of like taught him a little bit of the ropes of it, in the beginning, how to edit your own video, how to make your own video, what do you talk about, what not to talk about. And dude, as a matter of fact, I'm going out to the DR pretty soon here, and he's gonna be there. He's like, I'm flying over there so we can all hang out, and like he's got a wedding and whatever. We're gonna all so we play golf all the time, and yeah, we've created this like really nice friendship, man, throughout the years. And it's this guy, he is he is a bear, man. He's so incredible, like super humble. We can talk about anything, like very smart.
He was
He's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, he was just like,
Awesome.
and
So yeah, for me it was like, hey Albert, take a picture real quick, bro. I gotta take a picture with my guy.
I'll be honest, it was like a moment because I was like, Albert, and then he stood up and I was like, oh my God, he just handed the phone to Albert Pujols. That's pretty cool.
I didn't even like think about it twice. I was just like, no, this is gonna look better if we take a picture like with Albert.
Awesome.
And Albert was like all game too. He's like, yeah, of course, I got you.
Dude, so for people who are just tuning in, like long-time MLB career, now transition, MLB Network, media, like you're just killing it on TV.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you, dude. Like,
yeah, man.
It's pretty wild what you had a vision. And I one of the things I wanted to talk about was like, you and I spoke, like when you were done playing, like we spoke that off season, and you knew where you were going. I just think that was and it's real now.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like, one thing, when I retired, I was never that guy that I remember when a lot of guys would retire and they were like bitter. And guys were like, "Oh, I can still play the game. They kick me out, or like, they just don't want me anymore, and they know I can be good." I left on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the day I left, I remember like AJ Preller telling him that I was not gonna play anymore. And AJ was like, dude, why don't you take like a week off or 2 weeks off and then come back? And I was like, no, no, no. As a matter of fact, everything that I have in my locker, send it to the Dominican Republic, to the kids over there. Like, I don't even want it. Like,
Wow.
I'm done. Like, I am done. Like, and I tell this all the time. Like, my best sleep was the day after I retired. Like, the
Wow.
best sleep I got at night was the day after I retired, because I knew all my stress was gone. Like, I didn't have to go and try to figure out who I'm going to hit. Am I going to get released? Am I going to get sent down? Or like, there's so much stress involved in being a, like, everybody thinks that being a big leaguer is just a hobby, like a cool hobby that pays you a lot of money. It is a grind, man.
Yeah.
And I was just like, just fortunate enough for me to be, and I was 32 years old. I was young, and I was like, what is it that you like to do? And I was so baffled by like, where do I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to be on radio? Do I want to do the podcast? Do I want to do TV? Do I want to call games? And like, for me, I was hooked the first time that I did a show. Like, I was so hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, no, it was the closest as I felt to getting ready to play a baseball game without the grind and like, the, I guess, the stress of it. But I still get ready for my shows, like if I'm
Sure.
about to go play. Like, we just had our meeting right now. It was an hour-long meeting, and like, it's awesome. I love preparing for it and then doing a show, and it comes to life, and you're like, yes, this is sweet. Or when I see it on Twitter or Instagram, like, everybody like, man, what a great demo you did. Or my kid,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's a lot of people that hit me up on messages like, man, I tried that demo. I tried that with my kid. He
Oh, that's
loves it.
sick.
Thank you. That for me is like the best.
Dude, I often tell people, because one of the things we do in the podcast is taking the lessons from sports and apply them to business. And for me, what
Mhm.
you just said is exactly what I did, right? There were parts of what I got to do working for a team that I loved. There were parts
Right.
I didn't love. And what I
Right.
did was I extracted the parts that I loved and figured out a way to do more of those and less of the things I didn't love, right? I didn't love
Right.
stressing about certain things. I didn't like, you didn't love like worrying about whether you're going to get cut, but now you get to still prepare the same way. I still get
Yeah.
to, I work with the people I love working with. I get to go to battle every day with them. And like, I still love putting on shows. I do that with teams all over the, like, like it's, you find those things that you love and you slowly,
Yeah.
as you get
I
older,
agree.
narrow it down to just finding a way to do that.
Yeah, like the first my first year, I was scheduled to do like about 15 shows. I ended up doing 60, and it was because
Wow.
I was so in love with it. I was like, and the network was so incredibly like thankful. I was so thankful for them to give me the opportunity. And man, it's just been awesome. Like, where, I just want to create, and teach. Teach a kid that's 10 years old, but also teach a guy that's maybe at a bar that's 50 years old, and he wants to try something with his nephew or whatever. And that for me is like the ultimate.
Well, I can blow some smoke up your ass, because when you got your 15 shot, I remember you sent me a message. You're like, hey, I got a demo. And I have some friends at the network. And it was very quick that they were like, oh, this is not going to be 15 games, man. This guy is,
Yeah,
he's our guy. Like, we're really,
that's
we're
sick.
feeling it.
Yeah,
And
man, it was sick. Like, and the thing too is, like, I want to work.
mhm,
I want to do stuff. I'm bilingual, so I get to talk to a different crowd. Like, I remember when I was playing, the network kind of missed a little bit of that, right? Getting to know our best players. A lot of our best players in our game right now are Latin guys.
mhm.
So it was cool to like kind of get to know a Ronald Acuna or Luis Arias, like Sandy Alcantara. These guys don't necessarily do that much because of their language barrier.
Mhm.
So I'm there for that. I'm there to bring that a different life or a different content. So it's been awesome.
I think that's one of the things that I learned when I went to Miami, because growing up a kid in Boston, I didn't grow up with a lot of
Yeah.
adversity, right? And when I got dropped, you and I, we've spoken about this a lot. When I got
Yeah,
dropped into
we have.
Miami, I worked for a woman named Claudia Lascano. She's now CEO of Fuku, but she was like, listen, man, you got to like listen to the people, right? Like they're like, listen, and different ethnicities and different cultures have different, and
Yeah.
paying attention to those things. And you and I connected quickly on that, was like,
Yeah.
yo, we can help these kids that may not speak a lot of English, and
instantly just nervous, right? They just don't want to say the wrong thing. And it's like, all right,
Right.
let's give them a comfort that they can actually start to show their personalities because
Right.
as we all know, like there's some incredible personalities in those dugouts, whether wherever you're from, but when you don't feel like you fit into the environment that you're in, you probably will build a shell around yourself and just protect you so you can stay there as long
Yeah.
as possible. We're seeing in the game now, we're seeing a lot of those personalities shine.
Yeah,
I
I think
love it.
so as well. And you know, like Miami, you mentioned Miami, and Miami is like its own little world. It's like its own little country. I mean, there's so much going on there, so many different people, different restaurants. But in reality, it's also a small town. Like people
Mhm.
don't realize, everybody knows everybody there. But you're right. I mean, it was just about getting these guys comfortable, getting these guys to feel like it's just another talk. It's just another conversation. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be light. We're gonna have a good time with it. And hopefully, I'm very honest with them too. Like when I talk to them, like I was just right now in spring training talking, doing the shows 30 teams in 15 days, and
Mhm.
I get a guy and I'll be like, I'm gonna ask you three questions. And I ask three questions. I don't ask five, I don't ask six. It's three questions and we're good.
Mhm.
Now, maybe another time I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing on time? Because I want to ask you like six or seven questions.
Sure.
And he's gonna know it's gonna be six or seven questions. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty good about that. And just go about it.
We did the same thing when we did media collection, right? We told, a player it was 60 minutes. We ran stopwatches, right?
Yeah,
Baseball operations would judge me
yeah,
because I logged everybody's time in each room and we got judged because that's expectations and accountability on both sides. On the same
right,
end, I asked the players to show up on time, right? Like
right.
we're accountable to each other and I'm
Yeah,
going to respect your time. You're going to respect mine. I think everybody, no matter where you are in business, that's a real thing. I think
yeah,
professional sports, it got a little weird for a minute, right? Like everybody, but as you see, like your career is shining because you're showing them the respect, the players, the respect that
yeah.
you're looking for. And they don't think you're coming in trying to blow up their spot, but you're going to probably ask a real question like, hey, what are we doing there? What was that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think like, we're having this debate now on Blake Snell.
Mm,
Um, and I'm like, it's number one, it's unbelievable this guy didn't get like a 6, 7 year deal. But there's a reason for it, maybe from these teams. They think that. But he just won the Cy Young. Like, so it's
crazy.
crazy. But yeah, you just want to be like, you want to be real. So they're like asking me about what I think on the show about Blake Snell. And I mean, I saw all his starts, right? So I know exactly who he is.
Why
So
do you watch a lot of
um,
Padres games, sir?
oh my God, every day. I woke up at 5 in the morning East Coast time to watch these
Yeah.
games, which was incredible, by the way.
Nuts.
But yeah, man, just like talk from the heart, talk, true. Like everything's
Yeah.
got to be true, and just say how it is.
I love that. So one of the whole premise of this podcast is that when I was a kid, there was nowhere to go. Like and we're going to talk about it a little bit, but like you want to be a baseball player. Your dad was a baseball player. Like that's insane and amazing, right? Like for
Yeah.
me, like nobody told me I could go work for a baseball team, like and like pick music and design uniforms and like all this. So the reason why I do this is that I think that there's so many lessons from I was able to be around some amazing people and like my
Hmm.
my dad called me Forrest Gump because I never tried to be anywhere, but I ended up next to some amazing people. So now I'm trying to like bring that to a kid who might be trying to figure out what's next. And the whole premise of this podcast is a lesson from sports, right? Like you may had an incredible Major League Baseball career, and now you've parlayed that into the next chapter of your happiness, right? You've
Yeah.
relaunched yourself into this amazing sphere. Like, what's a lesson from sports that you would share with somebody that like you think would be relevant to no matter what you do? This was the thing that really is the core of the thing I take away from my time in sports.
Yeah, I think work ethic and believing in yourself. I think believing in yourself is such a rare thing nowadays. Everybody today is a lot of people struggle with that.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if it's because of social media or it's just the world that we live in nowadays, but there's a lot of insecurities out there. And I was raised in a household where there was no insecurity. I mean, my dad
Mhm.
was a big leaguer. My mom was an accountant. Like, both of them graduated from University of Cuba. Like, education was key, but
Mhm.
there was always that it of like no, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna believe it, and we're gonna do it.
Mhm.
And if you don't do that, well, then there's a why. Let's learn from it and let's try it again.
Mhm.
So I think for me, like what I learned from sports and like baseball and stuff like that is believing in yourself. Like you got to believe, man. If you don't believe, as a matter of fact, like I feel like believing is 75% of the job. Like once
Mhm.
you believe, the other 25, 30, whatever, like you got to believe, you got to be somewhere in the 70% percentile to realize like, oh no, I can get this done. Like there's a lot of things here now at the network too that I want to do, that people go to school for years to learn this, but I'm learning it now as
Mhm.
we're going. So it's just believing. You got to believe. Like I believe that I can be a host one day. I can do MLB Tonight and be the only player that can be a host, bilingual, and
Mhm.
have a seat of Albert Pujols, Mike Lowe, and whoever else, Cliff Floyd, and myself, and we can talk Spanglish, English, real, fun, and do it all, and bring a player in, whether it's a Spanish guy or an American guy or whatever, and we can get it done and have a good time. Like that's my goal, but I believe in that. I
Mhm.
believe that I can do it. So now I'm just gonna put the work into it and get after it. Zero insecurities, and obviously we're all human. We're all gonna feel some days where like I don't know if I can get a hit off this guy, but you know what? We're gonna get a hit.
Mhm.
Like that's just the way it is. So yeah, for me is you gotta believe. You gotta believe in yourself, believe in whatever you want to do, and go from there.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm very similar. Like confidence is one of my core principles. Of,
Yeah,
'cause I didn't have it as a young person, and then one day I was taught that lesson, and it was like, oh, that's a game changer. Like when you
yeah.
look out and lift your head up, right? Because everybody tries to do this, and if you actually do this and look up, you can see what's in front of you and
What's around?
what's
Yeah.
available, right?
I
Like,
used to tell this. I used to tell this to Manny all the time when we were rookies. When I was a rookie, he wasn't a rookie yet. He was in the minor leagues. And he would be like, "Man, how's the big leagues, man?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna fake it till I make it, and now I'm here. So since I'm here, I'm gonna fake it a little bit more, And I was so scared to walk into the clubhouse,
mhm,
because I was with guys that are Hall of Famers: Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Ramon Hernandez, Jim Edmonds. Like these were dudes that I grew up watching.
mhm,
Francisco Cordero was a closer. Bronson Arroyo was a starter, and I remember watching these dudes in
yeah,
Cincinnati, and I was like, these are my idols,
right.
and now I'm playing with them. But I need to act like a big leaguer. I need to act like I belong. I need to act like I'm the guy. So sometimes, some days, my insecurities were real. It was a
Yeah,
real thing.
you're
But you know
human.
what? Once I put on that gear, once I put on my jersey, I was like, I'm a big leaguer. Watch, just
Yeah.
watch now. This kid from Cuba is gonna like let him know what's up.
I learned that from you guys. So one of the things that I tell a lot of people, and I haven't said it on here yet, is that my first year with the Padres was 2014. You were there.
Uh-huh.
You were like, I had a core group of like 5 or 6 guys that sort of adopted me, right? And we're
Right.
like, we got you. Like, we know, like, all right,
Yeah.
like we're gonna show you what to do, what not to do, and kind of how to get. And one of the things I learned that year was Grande Liga, which was like, and it wasn't something that was said to me. It was something said to others. It took me years until someone said it to me.
Yeah.
And
This is
honestly,
Grandes Ligas.
it was a thing that when I put speakers behind home plate at Petco Park, because the players like were like, we don't hear our walk-up songs, and we couldn't make them sound any louder over the fans because it would have been bad for them. And I'm like, we just got to fix the sound. And so we put speakers. And I remember the first day after spring training, all the players came back. I said, hey, I fixed that problem you told me about. We got new speakers, and every player came over like, hey, that's Grande Liga. Like, and everybody slapped my ass on the way. It was like a thing, like, and it was like,
Yeah.
wait, it
Yeah,
took me
man.
like, that's many years in the big leagues. And it was like,
Yeah.
wow, like that's a real thing to big leaguers. Like,
Dude, I'll tell you what. There's no other stadium, and maybe I'm just biased because I played there, but I also played for 8 other teams or
sure.
7 other teams. So, but there's no better place to watch a game than San Diego. Like, there's just no better place. I mean, I don't think there's a venue that's better than San Diego. Like we're talking about NFL. I
It's
mean,
evolved.
I haven't. Yeah, it's evolved. It's enjoyable.
Mhm.
friendly, but yet it's got that it factor to it. I mean, look, I remember playing there. We would get 20,000 fans. Now it's
Mhm.
55,000 fans every night.
I was there with
You know,
you. It was
yeah,
very,
like
and you're looking around and now to see what it is. And, it took work
oh
and look, one of the things I wanted to like talk to you about was like, there were key pivotal moments in that journey for that franchise, right? Like
yeah,
you were there during a quad. I mean, you're right. We
grinding.
can say 20,000 fans, but there were some Tuesday nights with less than
It-
that.
oh yeah, 15,000, 12,000 people there.
I remember my first Tuesday in April, and I was like, whoa, we got work to do here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But it's just come a long ways,
oh, it's
man. And it's
beautiful.
just been there's no better place
I
that
agree.
I like to go watch a game than there. I mean, San Diego is, and you know what? Kudos to the fans as well. Just for them to like enjoy it and take it all in. You
Yeah.
know, they're taking it all in. It's been awesome. I love it. I love every second of it.
Yeah, they've done a good job. I actually, when that in those early years, while we were working together, one of the things that the ownership group was doing, Ron Fowler would say to me, like, "Hey, we're gonna fix the family room, right?" And I was like, "Okay, like help me understand that." He was like, "Well, because how you take care of players will pay dividends for years. Like those are the things that spread in this. I've learned from talking to players, and you were one of those players that like those how you take care of guys matters, right? Like there were things that were going on back then that weren't great, and new ownership came in and said, "Help us learn what we should be doing." And I was fortunate to be one of the people they put with you guys to go tell me all the things that we're doing wrong so we can make it right.
Yeah,
And
you know, it's funny you say that you bring that up because the first thing that Manny does to recruit players is tell them about how what they do for the families. Because it's the first question that comes.
number
It's
one.
not like how's the city or how's the team, how's the staff, is what are they doing for my family?
Mhm.
Like it's the craziest thing. And
What
it's
matters to
like,
you? You
man,
know?
it matters, man. It matters a lot because the kids and the family members, they're there every day. It's not like these the moms and wives and the kids, like they don't stay at home.
Nope.
They're there. They're just as much of a baseball player as the real guys that are playing it.
Mhm.
So they take it another level, like with what they do for families there in San Diego. I mean, and across the board in the big leagues has been, obviously, I think it's gotten the word where that's a big priority
Everybody's paying attention
on a
now.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you're gonna go sign a dude for 10 years. Like, I'm gonna be there 10 years. It better be good, enjoyable for at least, my wife and my three kids or whatever.
Yeah. The work that was done there. And it's funny during those
It's
early
come a long
years.
way. There wasn't even a room.
No,
Remember, people had to sit, like they just stand, like there was nothing.
nothing.
Like my family would come and they would just sit in the hallway. They would hang
Yep.
out in the hallway.
Yep.
Now it's like a whole like
World.
ordeal with food and like the whole night. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, because it matters, and I think through those early years, there were things that like that was all happening behind the scenes that like it was hard to not tell fans about
Yeah.
it. It was just like, but these are the things that are going to build. They're the building blocks to what's going to matter in 5, 6, 7 years. And I always remembered that conversation with him, and I remember you were one of the people he spoke to about what mattered. And then when Manny Machado walks through the door, I'm like, oh my God. He was like, because other players will talk to other players, and your sister, who is Manny's wife, was
Right.
there as your sister back then, and is now
She
there
would
as
come to the games.
she was there all the time.
Yeah, yeah, she was there all the time. So it's funny. Like I used to say, I got a good story on San Diego. I used to come home to Miami after the season, and I used to be like, my sister Manny, my parents are like, all right, you're not in San Diego anymore. You're in Miami now. It's the real world. And it was like, because I was always like super chill, super cool. The vibes of San Diego. Like
Yep.
there was times I didn't want to go home to Miami after the season. I
Mhm.
was like, man, I want to stay here, and I would stay like an extra 2 weeks just to hang out. And I was like, man, you guys are just hating. You guys don't know what I do over there in San Diego. Like it's the best. It's a different lifestyle. Blah blah blah. And now when they come from San Diego to Miami, I'm like, yo, you're in Miami now. Like, get off the San Diego like island because now you're here.
I
And
love
they're
it.
like, oh, so now they're like, man, I remember like always giving you guys smack about
Mhm.
the whole San Diego vibe, but now they're feeling it too. Like they get it. it's just the whole thing. But it's definitely come a long way, and you were a humongous part of it.
No, I appreciate that. And I would be like, we can't do this together without me shouting out your sister and Manny, who were
Yeah,
just incredible to me, and PD,
they were
like
good. PD,
the whole crew, like,
yeah,
obviously that was your influence, like, but those things were, monumental. I almost said monumental, but like monumental, like to think about what that meant for the city when he chose San Diego. First, it was Hosmer, and then Manny comes like right after, and like those I just remember those moments for the franchise were big, and but
yeah,
I know, looking back, all the little things that led up to those moments, and like,
yeah,
knowing your influence in those moments, it was pretty cool. And then, fast forward, we got to do some pretty cool content because of the relationship we had, that we're like, okay, there's a trust here. We're going to do it
yeah.
the right way and take care. So I just always appreciated you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
all right.
No,
So,
Ron Fowler was incredible. Like
yeah.
I remember when the talk of Manny going to San Diego, I was like, oh my God, this would be like heaven. And he had the Yankees, the
Mhm.
Phillies, the Braves. I mean, there's a lot of teams that were the Rangers, but I was like, Manny, let me tell you something, man. Like this is where you're gonna get in San Diego. And he knew, and like my sister obviously knew, and I
Yep.
was like, there's just no better place. There's
Yeah.
really no better place. And he, I mean, he chose right.
Yeah, he did. And I have to tell you quick, this is an inside story I've never told before. So
Oh yeah,
the
let's go.
uniforms are done. We're ready to go. And Ron says to me, he's like, hey, we just signed Manny. Like, you got to show Manny. Okay. So after everything, we're like, Manny comes back and we're like, hey, we just want to give you an inside peek on the uniforms, right? And so I got to know him a little bit. Like, we had a little bit of a rapport, but nothing crazy. Manny's not you. Like, Manny's not going to be like, you just
Yeah.
can't. I was early days, and I'm like, okay. I show him the uniform, and he was like, nah, bro, just deadpan. And I'm like, oh God, this is 3 years of my life, like, poured into this uniform. And he was like, I don't know, man. Pinstripes, really? And I just looked at him. He goes, I'm just playing. These are fire. Like, it was like, you're dying on the inside. You're like,
Oh
oh
man,
no. And he was just like, I'm just playing. These are like, we're good, man. Let's
these are sick.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
he had
yeah.
ideas and things, and like, and then we did like the unveiling, and he came out and unveiled them, and it was incredible. It was an
It
amazing
was,
moment.
man. The unis are sick, man, and they just get better and better. And
No
like,
doubt.
I mean, yeah. Even the unis, man. Like even the unis, like they do all these things. Like it's great. I mean, I
Baseball is
just
doing
went now. I
amazing
just
work.
went now. Yeah, I just went now to Arizona, and I walked into TJ's office, the head clubby. I was like, TJ, man, hook me up with some gear, bro. And he
Yeah.
like walked me to the back, and he's like, pick whatever you want. I was like, boom, 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 boom. Like it was like this was awesome,
Well,
dude.
from when you and I met in 2013, 2014, like what the evolution of design in baseball has just evolved so much. There's so much flavor. The City Connect series with Nike, like
Yeah,
there's just so
yeah,
much going on. It's really elevated, I think, like the swag and the energy, and you're starting to feel personality come through baseball, which is really, really, really
yeah.
exciting.
That's what it is. That I think that's what it is. The personalities are coming out. The league used to be. I think the players are getting smarter.
Hmm.
The league's getting smarter. I think the players are getting smarter. So once you have these two storms kind of budge in as a big hurricane,
No
and I
doubt.
think that's what's happening right now. Where there's still a lot of players that don't like to. They kind
Sure.
of like to be a little bit private. But man, when you get a guy that wants to be out there, like Julio Rodriguez or Acuna now, Luis
Hmm.
Ariz, Manny, Toddy,
Yep.
now it's like it's real, man. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's
It's like
stars.
you get to see who these guys are.
This generation, the world that we live in, stars shine. And
Yep.
so there needed to be this sort of seismic shift in the
Yep.
sport to allow the stars to shine. It wasn't everybody's created equally. Like, you
Right.
get to the NFL, everybody's not created equally, right? Like, the
No.
stars shine, and here we are. The stars are shining now, and it's incredible. I mean, what happens at the All-Star game and the home run derby? I mean, stars are shining, and it's pretty
Yeah.
exciting. I love
Oh,
it.
it's enjoyable.
Oh,
Like the All Star games are fun. The World Series is awesome.
yeah.
I mean, the postseason is incredible. Even like the start of the season is incredible. Like this season, I think it's going to be one of the most electric seasons
I
we're going to
agree.
see in baseball.
I agree. All right, we got to transition. I can't believe we've already been going for this long, dude. You and I can talk for days. All right, so this is what I call the hot seat. So we all know in baseball, you talked about it, like waking up in the morning, sweating, am I getting cut today, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was the same in the front office side. I would wake up being like, oh, is today the day? Let's just go in and see how it goes, you know? But
See how it goes.
put the
All right.
smile on because it could be my
For real.
day.
It could be it.
Dude, everybody tells you when you get these jobs, you're getting hired to get fired. That's how it goes. So enjoy it while you got
I
it.
say this all the time. Like being a manager, being a manager is like owning a boat. The first day you're super happy, and after that, you can't wait to sell it.
But when I had a boat, it was break out another 1,000 every time you had the boat. It was just like buckle up, here it comes. So,
yeah.
well, this is good
All
because
right.
I got some boat questions in here. All right, so rapid fire questions. We're gonna fire them off and just quick answers. You ready?
Go.
Here we go. Favorite sport to watch besides baseball?
Oh, golf.
Yeah, you love golf.
Oh, hooked. So I never used to watch Golf Channel. Like when I wasn't in golf, when I was playing baseball, I didn't play golf. And when I would see all the pitchers watching golf, I'd be like, these guys are just squares. Like they're just nerds. Like I would never watch this, bro. Like why are people watching golf? And now I'm like, dude, every
You're
day I'm
so
like,
in.
Golf Channel. I'm like one of those guys. I'm working on my putting. Like I'm just, it's out of control.
Well, when we came to Miami to shoot to do like the get to know Manny, go home with Manny,
Yeah.
you were obviously a huge part of that.
We
You
went
were
to play golf.
that's what you did. You're like, well, Manny was like, we as a family, we play golf. Like we play golf every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
My sister, me, Manny, yeah, everybody.
I love it. All right. Best ballpark to play in?
San Diego.
Okay.
Petco.
Love it. All right. We're in Miami. Maybe not Miami. Favorite place to get a cafecito?
Oh yeah, Miami. No question about
Where?
it. Or at
Is there
my
like a
house. My house. My house. My
Your
house.
house?
My house. I got the whole the whole setup. I got a whole setup going on. Every morning I make coffee. It's like the ultimate. Like right now I'm here in New York. I don't have the coffee maker, and it's like, man, I'm like getting out to go get some coffee somewhere because
Can you get Cuban coffee in New York?
No.
No.
I mean you can. You just would have to go a little farther where I'm at right now.
I try to explain to people being like a giant white kid from Boston. I arrive at the Dolphins and they're like 3:30 in the afternoon. They're like, yo, it's cafecito time. And I'm like, what? And they bring me in this room and there's a machine and there's like a person, like one of the employees had like a whole system.
The whole setup.
And they were like,
it's a full gadget.
They were like, bro, just a sip. And I'm like, just a sip? Like, dude,
just a sip.
I'm a man. I can take it.
No,
they're like,
you're good. Just like the little cups, the little white cups.
Bro, my eye was twitching. Like it was like nothing I'd ever felt before. I was like, they were like, I told you. I told you.
Oh,
I knew that was for real.
There ain't nothing better, man.
No, we went down to, is it Versailles?
Yeah, Versailles.
So someone, my old boss, so Claudia, who I referenced, so she's half Cuban, half Mexican woman. She was the one who like taught me so much.
Yeah.
And she was like, we're going down. Like, let's go. And we walked the neighborhood and we did all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All the older guys out there sipping. And she was like,
yeah, right up my alley. That's where I grew up around there.
Sip.
Yep. Sip. Just a sip.
I love it. Best advice your dad gave you?
Whew. Man. Best advice my dad gave me. Well, definitely the believing.
I like, yeah,
it's
you're right.
definitely one. I think work ethic. He was always very big on like giving me advice on work ethic. I remember like, when I got here to this country, I rarely see my parents. Like my parents, I would see them at 6 a.m. I'm 36.
No. How old were you when you came over?
Oh, I was 9.
Oh, wow.
I was 9. Yeah. So, and thank God for the Boys and Girls Club, because after school, they would drop me off at the Boys and Girls Club and I was able to like play baseball there and play basketball, do my homework, do all that stuff or after school. But my parents would drop me off, or I would leave on the school bus at, 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. And I wouldn't see my parents till like 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and sometimes even later. Like my mom would pick me up, but then I wouldn't see my dad till like 10 o'clock at night. So that work ethic was definitely something that he always like, this is how we're going to do this in this country. We're going to work to get everything we want.
I love that. And he's a big dude. Like he has a presence.
He's not as big anymore.
Oh, really?
He's like all fit now.
No, he wasn't. Like he was like he had your shoulders. Like he was like he was a man that had a presence when he walked in the room.
No, now, man, he's like
Come
skinny,
on.
and I mess with him all the time. I'm like, so when's the GQ photo shoot, my man? Like, what's going on here, dude?
That's
Like,
so
he's out
fu-
here eating like broccoli
Oh
and
wow. I just
chicken and
always
like
remember him
fish.
walking in the room and being like, dude, he just had this presence to him. It
Yeah,
was like,
big
I'm a
presence. My
pretty big
dad's
guy.
always
And
been
I
like
was
that.
like, wow, that guy he's a big man. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So East Coast or West Coast?
Oh, in like in what? In what
Life.
way?
Just you gotta
East
pick one.
Coast.
East Coast.
East Coast, yeah.
I love
I just think like like I like dirty water. I like just you know what I'm saying. Like I
Yeah.
like to get down. I like to
It's
have
a
a good
different
time. I like
pace.
to yeah. I like to be a little bit faster pace. I like the grind. I like the hustle. I like the food. The people. I mean, it's just it's a whole different thing.
Golf or boat?
Yeah, golf.
Okay.
Um,
Wow, that's a big
yeah,
it's golf is one.
yeah. Boat like it's cool. Like I obviously I love it. I mean, it's the best. But there's just so much, like I said, man, so much maintenance, so much stuff going
Yeah.
around. Like I can just go play golf. It's just awesome.
Yeah, love it. Favorite place to vacation?
Oh shoot. Duh. I mean, I've been blessed to go to places that I never thought I was gonna be able to go. Um, man, look, there's a place called Baker's Bay
Okay.
in the Bahamas.
All right.
If you guys don't know, look it up. Baker's Bay. And it's a place where you basically there's the only way you can get in if you're a member of the Baker's Bay Island, and there's only like about 80 homes there, but
Wow.
there's a golf course that Tiger Woods he created there, and because he has a house there,
Wow.
and that's the you can play without shirt, you can play barefoot, you can play in your trunks. It's just have a
Come
good
on.
time and enjoy it. The golf course is incredible. Baker's Bay is probably the coolest place I have ever been to vacation.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, last question. And I had a buddy on.
Like I remember, hold on, I remember landing, and you got to take a boat ride, like it's like a 40-minute boat ride to get there, and there was obviously people that lived in that island that were members that were going as well,
Mhm.
and I remember pulling up to the marina, and the owner of the Ravens was there, and he gets off the the boat, and he looks at me, he goes, "Welcome to adult Disneyland," and I was like, "Okay." And then I see him like a day later, and he's like, just hanging out, playing golf, having a good time, like talking to Manny. I was like, "This is awesome!
That
Like this
is.
is so cool!" Playing barefoot golf, like it's so awesome.
In the
Like, yeah,
Bahamas. Yeah.
Baker's Bay for me takes it like to a whole nother like level.
All right, last one, rapid fire. How often do you trim that beard?
Um, I'd probably get a haircut like once a week or
Okay.
one every like 10 days. So usually I kind of keep it like this. I mean, sometimes I let it like go. But for the most part, kind of,
Y'all
dude,
keep it
I
clean
don't know what
though.
happened to me. 36 years old, and all of a sudden I'm getting like white hair,
Oh,
and I'm like, yo, what's happening? Like, what just happened? But it is what it is. I
yeah,
mean,
you keep it clean though.
I
Everything's
got good
tight.
hair. I got good
It's
hair.
yeah,
I
you
definitely have good hair, so it's there.
I'm jealous of the salad. Mine's pushing back on me. I'm jealous. All right. So the last thing I'd
Uh,
like to do, and I know we got to get out of here. You got TV to do.
yeah.
Just real quick. This is the last piece, which is the providing value. I love to just clip these and share them and just let people know kind of what it's all about. What advice would you give a kid that wants to get in and wants to become a professional athlete?
Um. Well, hmm. It's funny. I have my son. He's 8 years old too,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
great.
I always try to like give him advice on like what to do. Persistency, uh, understanding sacrifice, understanding patience. Like patience hurts.
Mhm.
Like having patient and like having that and like being able to use that, it hurts. It hurts the body sometimes. Like when you go, you want to get a hit, but today is not your day because you're working on a process. You got to have patience, and that hurts. You're like, really, you got to have patience, but you got to have that it. You also got to have that it of impatience. And people look at me and they tell me all the time that I'm not patient. You're like, oh, you're not a patient guy. Like you need things done. but I'm very patient. I just, I expect so much out of myself. The bar is just never high enough. It could always go higher.
Yep.
And I think as a kid, um, I always would say this to myself, like, what would I tell myself if I was 10 years old right now? Like
Hmm.
knowing what you've done. And it was like, I wish my bar was even higher.
Hmm.
And I thought it was really high,
Yeah.
but I wish it was higher. Like I expect, a lot, and just the younger you can do that, the younger you can kind of transform your mind into that. I think the better it will be as you get older, as life will become a little easier. You'll be more prepared for life things, and even if you want to become an athlete or professional athlete, you will be more prepared and equipped to have all these challenges in front of you, and you can just crush them.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Last question. I always finish with it because I love, me, like I love to finish on a positive. You got a new
Yeah,
gig. I mean, it's not new, but it's newish to you.
yeah.
What's the best part about this new job?
So I started in 2020, right? I
Yeah.
retired in 2020. I started in 2021. So it's been 3 years. What's the best gig about my job? Whew, there's so many. I can't even like. I can't even. There's so many. There's nothing like doing the show. There's nothing like doing a showcase game. There's nothing like being able to have. I was fortunate. I was so lucky to be able to do 14 World Baseball Classic games last year, and I would pinch myself like after
Mhm.
the games. I was like, I can't. And they were in Miami, so that bracket in Miami was incredible.
So fun.
There's nothing better than giving advice to people, or doing something to people, and like I'll go to the airport and I'll be like, man, I love what you do. I love what you do. Or like having a baseball player, come up to me and be like, hey, I like when you're on. I like when
Mhm.
you're on the network. I think for me, like that is the ultimate like respect of like when a teammate says to you, man, you're a good teammate.
Yep.
Like for me, that's the way I see it. Like when somebody comes up to me, they're like, hey, man, you do a great job. Or even if they say, hey, I think the Giants are better than the
Yeah.
Padres. I love that. I'm like,
Sure.
okay, well, we'll see in September.
Yep.
Like even fun. I think it's the best. That for me takes the cake, and obviously, being in places that I never thought I would be, or interview the people that I've been lucky. I've been to 3 World Series.
Wild.
Like I've been to 3 All-Stars. Like that doesn't
Crazy.
come around. Like
Yeah.
not everybody gets to do that. And I'm just like every time that I get invited to be like, hey, would you like to work the All-Star game or the postseason? I'm like, yes, whatever. I'm in, because that's, forever that's going to be enshrined. And I keep all my passes. I keep, all my stuff, because I give them all to my kid,
Yeah.
my son. And I'm like, one day we're going to look back and be like, man, like how cool is this?
Dad got to do some cool stuff, man. Yonder,
Yeah, I got to do some cool stuff.
I honestly thank you. Thank you for everything. Like honestly, going back, it's been
Absolutely.
10 years since we met.
I
And,
know,
and
man.
it's amazing. We're getting old, but like,
Here's to 10 more years.
that's it, man. And thank you for everything. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man.